A tiger was standing in the middle of the trail, blocking their way. Ranger Reed stopped first, his team halting behind him. No one spoke. No one moved. The tiger's sides rose and fell fast. Her coat was streaked with mud, one paw dragging slightly. She looked exhausted. Not wild, not hunting but desperate. The forest around them went silent. Even the insects stopped. Reed gripped his rifle but didn't raise it. Something in her eyes made him hesitate. She took a step back. Then another. Instead of vanishing into the trees, she turned, glancing over her shoulder before walking deeper into the jungle. Every few steps, she looked back again. What's she doing? One ranger whispered. Reed's heart pounded. She's not warning us, he said quietly. She's asking. And without another word, the men followed her into the forest. They moved carefully, rifles down, flashlights cutting through the green. The forest thickened. Roots twisted. Vines brushed their faces. The tiger stayed ahead, never far, always turning to check on them. Reed's heart pounded. This wasn't hunting behavior. This was pleading. Keep your distance, he whispered. If she wanted us dead, she'd have done it already. After 10 minutes, the smell of rot and damp earth grew stronger. Then they heard it, a faint cry, thin and desperate, cutting through the buzz of insects. The tiger stopped beside a fallen tree, tail twitching, head low. Beneath the roots, a small cub struggled against a rope snare, the line cutting deep around its paw. Reed felt the breath leave his chest. Trap line, he muttered. Poachers. The tiger looked from them to the cub, then back again. She was asking again, not for fear but for help. Reed's knife slipped once, slicing his own palm. He clenched his teeth, ignoring the sting. Almost there, he said through his breath. Sweat dripped into his eyes. The smell of blood and mud filled the air. Keep her calm, he ordered. One ranger struck a flare and held it out. The red light spread through the smoke, painting the clearing in shifting shadows. The tiger's ears twitched. Her eyes caught the glow, two golden orbs flashing red in the reflection. Reed found the final knot, twisted so tight it looked fused to the wire. His fingers cramped, slipping on the wet rope. The cub kicked once, crying weakly. Come on, Reed whispered, voice cracking. He wedged the knife under the knot and pulled. The wire snapped with a sharp metallic pop. The cub jerked free, collapsing into the dirt before dragging itself forward, one paw bent awkwardly. Reed backed away, raising both hands. Go, he said softly. The tiger bolted forward, massive paws hitting the ground hard. She scooped her cub close, sniffing its wound, licking the blood clean with slow, careful strokes. The cub whimpered once, then pressed its head into her chest. The tiger turned to Reed. No roar, no threat. Only a long, steady look, golden eyes flickering in the firelight. And for the first time that day, the jungle went completely silent. For a long moment, no one moved. The tiger stood perfectly still, her cub pressed against her chest, both of them framed by the fading red light of the flare. Smoke drifted through the air, mixing with the scent of mud, blood, and rain. Reed's breath came slow now. The danger had passed, but no one dared to believe it yet. She's not leaving, whispered one ranger. Reed shook his head. No. She's waiting. The mother's tail flicked once. She took a single step forward, slow, steady, deliberate, until she stood halfway between the cub and the men. The other rangers tensed, ready to move, but Reed raised his hand. Hold, he said quietly. She lowered her head, her breath steaming in the cool air. Her shoulders trembled slightly, not from fear but from exhaustion. That's when Reed noticed her front paw, the skin torn and bleeding. The same wire that had caught her cub had grazed her too. She had tried to fight it before finding them. He understood then what she had risked. She had come out of the jungle, out of safety, to stand before men with rifles, just to ask for help. Reed's chest tightened. He slowly sheathed his knife and dropped to one knee in the mud, showing both hands. Empty. He reached into his pocket. The tiger's eyes followed every movement. Her ears tilted forward. Her breathing slowed. Reed brought a strip of cloth from his pocket and brought it slowly forward. He held a gauze pad in his other hand and gestured to her paw, a moment of silent communication between man and beast. The other rangers watched with bated breath. Then, with a sound barely louder than a sigh, she rumbled. Deep, low, steady. The ground seemed to vibrate beneath their boots. It wasn't a growl. It wasn't a warning. It was something else entirely. Reed didn't move. He simply met her gaze and nodded once, a quiet gesture of respect. Then slowly, she lifted her injured paw. Reed held her gaze a moment longer, then worked quickly, patting the wound with sterile gauze and wrapping the paw with the cloth. Her giant orange paw was twice the size of the boxer's fist he had wrapped in the gym. The tiger blinked slowly, then turned to her cub. She nudged it upright with her nose. The little one stumbled, but found its footing. Together they began to move. At the edge of the clearing, the mother stopped. She looked back once, eyes meeting Reed's again, the same look she had given when asking him to follow. No sound, no roar, just trust. Then she disappeared into the trees, stripes melting into green. The jungle became quiet and heavy again, and the men didn't speak because they felt too much. They stood in silence, clothes soaked in mud and sweat. She trusted us, Reed said quietly. No one replied. They were stunned at what they had just seen. A low, steady, and alive sound like a roar moved through the trees, but it wasn't a danger. It was just one voice calling out to another. Reed looked toward the forest. She's telling him they're safe. After the sound stopped, the men walked away with their boots sinking into the wet ground while the quiet jungle watched them leave until a single falling leaf covered the last footprint.